I wonder, you guys had Mobb Deep on your second project. What was it like? Because around that time, it's like '01, so I mean, the East Coast, West Coast shit's kind of over with at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Whose idea was it to work with Mobb Deep? And, you know, obviously Prodigy, rest in peace to him, one of the GOATs. I thought that was dope.
That was Snoop Dogg's idea. We had did a song called "Thou Shalt Not Kill" with Mobb Deep when they was doing murder music. I was out there with Dog, and you know I wrote a verse, and he was like, Prodigy was like, "What's up? You getting on the cut?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I'm getting on it. I'm welcome." So he was like, "Man, drop your shit." He was like, "Let me hear it." He like, "Man, drop that shit." So we had a relationship.
So you was already in the studio with Prodigy?
Yeah, I'd been in the studio
so
with him before, and then I got him on one of my subsequent albums on a song called "General Salute." Me, him,
so you guys had a dope.
LBC crew.
That's hard.
So we had that rapport, and then I guess Dog wanted to give us some East Coast flavor on the second album as well, because it was straight West on the first one, and that was a group that he called on. We was in the studio. DJ Premier came through. I think we did. Did we do a song with Lil Mo that night too?
Damn sure did.
Yeah. So we was. I forget what studio we was in.
I always feel like Snoop was like kind of like the guy who was like pretty level headed throughout all that, because he had a lot of like love for the East Coast, and like had a lot of relationships with a lot of those artists, and so. And like you said, like shit, that had to be crazy just working with Prodigy.
Yeah, we was moving around
Premiere
like
around
that
and
too.
shit. Like that's
yeah,
crazy.
we was really moving around with Snoop as well, like that too, building relationships.
Yeah,
and it just came about.
You guys have a lot of music with Nate, who I feel like we still haven't necessarily. I mean, there's been artists who have come that have had like their grips on being the it hook guy in hip hop, right? You know, Ty Dolla $ign or Akon, T-Pain, etc. But I just feel like they ain't never been the same since Nate passed away. Right. His son is really dope too, and Hale is dope and sounds very similar.
That's nephew. Yeah.
But what can you tell me? Because you guys do have a lot of records with Nate. What was it like just working with him? And what was his writing process like?
Well, Nate added his own essence to the song. He directed songs more or less. When he laid the hook, you was just expected to follow what he laid. He wouldn't come in and be like, "So what we talking about today?" Or he would feel the track like most of us do, and he would just do his thing, and everybody would just follow suit, because when they get on the track, it's pretty much a rap. So it was always a pleasure, man. I worked with him at his house, worked with him in different studios. I was on his first album, G-Funk Classics, Volume 1, The Bag of Weed. So I've been out to his people's house with him in Clarksdale, Mississippi a couple of times. So Nate was a good friend of mine, as well as a colleague, a peer, DPGC member. He was dope, man. He was just dope all around, and he wasn't no joke.